It's 1950, India just adopted a new constitution, the first engineering college in India IIT Kharagpur got inauguration, and All India Football Federation chose Summer Olympics over the FIFA World Cup. Before starting the video, just asking you to subscribe as we are trying to hit 4,000 subscribers. Anyway, India. India played its first game as an independent country in the Summer Olympics of 1948. It was against France and 8 out of 11 players participating in that game were playing barefoot. But why barefoot? You see, firstly it was reported that they were playing like this due to the lack of funds. However, later it was revealed that all these players were more comfortable playing without the boots than playing with the boots. Then 2 years later in 1950, India received its first and only qualification for the FIFA World Cup after all the teams in our group withdrew from the tournament. However, AIFF then made one of the biggest mistakes in the history of mankind and rejected that qualification. It is believed that AIFF valued playing football in Summer Olympics than playing it in actual Football World Cup. However, 1 year later, after rejecting the FIFA World Cup and giving us pain for life, India hosted Asian Games in 1951. Now let me clarify one thing, that Asian Games and AFC Asian Cup are two different competitions. Asian Games is a multi-sport tournament, whereas AFC Asian Cup includes just football. So in the Asian Games 1951, India won the gold medal after beating Iran in the final. Then in 1952, India participated in the Summer Olympics, the competition for which AIFF dished the World Cup, and got knocked out in the very first round. But the saddest part of this tournament, however, was that we lost 10-0 to a country called Yugoslavia, which doesn't even exist now. Then in 1954, India gave another terrible performance when we got knocked out in the first round of the Asian Games. However, after that India did win some multinational tournaments, and it was in the same year when we became the founding members of the AFC. Now AFC is one of the oldest co-federation and is the organizing board of AFC Asian Cup. The AFC Asian Cup, however, was first played in 1956, and in the qualification round there were 19 teams divided into 3 zones. India was drawn in the Western zone, don't ask me why, and was supposed to face Iran. Now I didn't find any information about this game, but this AI chat box says that India got draw against Iran and later qualified for the main competition. However, according to this small section on Wikipedia, India never played in those qualifiers.
Dangerous is what they are.
In 1956, India did play in the Summer Olympics and finished 4th in the competition. This tournament is famously known for Neville D'Souza's hat-trick against Australia. Then in 1958, another Asian Games arrived, and this time we qualified for the knockout phase. We even beat Hong Kong in the quarterfinals, but in the semi-finals, India lost to South Korea 3-1. Fast forward to 1960, the second edition of AFC Asian Cup, India played its qualifying games against Israel, Iran and Pakistan. We did win 2 games out of possible 6, but finished last in the points table, just 1 point behind Pakistan. Now, despite getting knocked out of the Asian Cup in the qualifying round only, India was still one of the best teams in Asia. Even the period from 1951 to 1962 has been labeled as the golden era of Indian football. In 1962, India made history by beating Asian champion South Korea in the finals of the Asian Games. Then in the qualifiers of AFC Asian Cup 1964, India was supposed to face Afghanistan, Iran and Sri Lanka. However, all these countries withdrew from the tournament, resulting in a direct qualification to the Asian Cup. Now, before India's first ever game in the finals, the Prime Minister of the country, Jawaharlal Nehru, passed away. It was reported that Indian team got so demotivated that they requested to postpone the match. However, the organizers rejected the request and India was forced to play that game. Despite being in that situation, India got an impressive 2-0 win over South Korea. However, in the second game we lost 2-0, but then on the final match day, team came back stronger and won 3-1 against Hong Kong. This led to a second place finish inside the points table, and by the end of the tournament, Israel was crowned as the champions. Now, one thing that I forgot to tell you, that from 1956 to 1968, AFC Asian Cup was played in round robin format, which means that the team that finishes on the top of the points table wins the entire tournament. That's why in 1964, despite losing 1 game, India ended up as runners up. 2 years later in 1966, India participated in Asian Games again, but this time around it turned out to be humiliation. First of all, India lost 2-1 to Japan, and 4-1 to Iran on the final match day. However, we did win our game against Malaysia, but we finished 8th out of 11 participating nations. Then in the Asian Cup qualifiers of 1968, India broke all the records in terms of bad performances. First of all, we lost to Burma, somewhere in Asia. Then we drew to Pakistan. Then on the final match day we lost 3-1, resulting in last place finish in the Western Zone. However, India came back stronger in 1970 Asian Games and went all the way to semi-finals for the first time since 1962. In the semi-finals we faced our nightmare Bruma and lost to them once again.
No! God, please, no!
However, India did win the bronze medal game against Japan under the guidance of PK Banerjee. Next year, in the qualifiers of 1972 Asian Cup, India decided not to participate.
Not again.
Not only in those qualifiers, but AIFF didn't allow India to participate in any Asian Cup qualifiers until 1980. Now, considering the situation we were in, this was the second biggest mistake in the history of Indian football. See, first of all, by this time we were not participating in any major tournament other than the Asian Cup, and secondly, the only way to improve Indian football was to play against competitive teams that were playing in that AFC Asian Cup. But wait, what about the World Cup qualifiers? I mean, there were quality teams there too. As we neglected FIFA World Cup so far, AIFF also did same for 35 years. AIFF decided not to participate in the qualifiers until 1985. But why? The reason was pretty simple. AIFF was undervaluing World Cup and choosing other competitions over it. As a result, Indian football team lacked exposure and became isolated. From 1972 to 1980, India played just two major tournaments. We played Asian Games in 1974, where India lost 7-1 to China and 4-1 to North Korea, resulting a last place in the group. Then in the Asian Games 1978, we did qualify the first round but lost all our games in the second. However, in the early 80s, India started to improve. First of all, we shocked everyone and played the quarterfinals of Asian Games in 1982. Then in the qualifiers of 1984 Asian Cup, India gave some of its best performances. We won 4-1 to North Yemen, 2-1 to Malaysia and 2-0 to Pakistan. However, India did lose 1-0 to South Korea, but it hardly mattered as we were already qualified. In the Asian Cup finals, India was placed in Group B and we played that campaign awfully. As in first two games we lost 2-0 to both Singapore and UAE. Then we fought in our third game and drew against Iran. However, on the final match day, India lost to China, resulting a last place finish in that group. The worst part about this campaign was that India didn't even fail to win, but failed to score as well. Then came the historic 1985 when finally a wise man in AIFF allowed India to participate in the World Cup qualifiers. India played the 1986 World Cup qualifiers against Indonesia, Bangladesh and Thailand. Team gave some impressive results, however, India missed the chance to go through by just 2 points. Then from 1986 to 1993, India didn't participate in any major tournament because we were not qualifying for them. First of all, in the Asian qualifiers of 1988, India was humiliated in the group and lost 4 out of 5 games. Then in the next qualifiers, India did win its first game but lost second one to Iran and got eliminated from the tournament. Then in 1993, in the World Cup qualifiers, we lost 6 out of 8 games, including a heartbreaking 7-0 defeat to South Korea. Now, despite we were not achieving success on Asian or on the world stage, India was still the best team in South Asia. Team proved this by winning SAF Championship 4 times in 6 years. What is SAF Championship? The South Asian Football Federation Championship was first organized in 1993 and it was founded to encourage football in South Asia. Every 2 years, all the South Asian teams including India competes for this trophy. It's like Asian Cup but for the South Asian sides.
What?
However, despite India's ongoing success in South Asia, team was still struggling in the qualifiers of both AFC Asian Cup and the World Cup. In the Asian qualifiers of 1996, India gave 2 of its worst performances in the history of qualifiers. We lost 7-1 to Indonesia and 5-2 to Malaysia. India finished 3rd in that 3-team group and carried that bad form to 1998 World Cup qualifiers. We started our campaign by winning 2-1 against Philippines, but then a draw against Sri Lanka and a massive 6-0 loss to Qatar kicked us out of the first round. By the end of 1999, India again played the Asian qualifiers and this time around, again almost the same results. In the early 2000s, India started playing more football by increasing the number of friendlies and the participation in the minor tournaments. And this had a huge impact in India's performances, as in the World Cup qualifiers 2002, India lost just 1 game. However, we didn't qualify for the next round as there was only 1 spot. India then played the SAF Championship in 2003 where initially we lost to Pakistan. However, after beating Afghanistan 4-1 and getting a draw against Sri Lanka, India played in the semi-finals of the competition. competition. In 2003 only, India also played the qualifiers of AFC Asian Cup where we were placed alongside Korea. Now since it was just a 2-team group, the qualifying criteria was pretty much clear. Win both of your games on aggregate and qualify for the next round. However, India lost the first leg 2-1 and then conceded a late goal in the second game, resulting in an elimination.
Disappointed!
From 2004 to 2007, the only good thing happened with Indian football was the debut of Sunil Chhetri, because the rest was a complete mess. In the World Cup qualifiers of 2006, India started the campaign by winning the first game. However, we brought our old powers back and lost 4 out of last 5 games with a goal difference of -16 in 6 games. After this horrible campaign, the national team coach Stephen Constantine was sacked. In came Namuddin and he took charge of India in the qualifiers of Asian Cup 2007. However, this time around our goal difference was -22. India lost 6-0 to Japan and 7-1 to Saudi Arabia. This resulted in the sacking of the coach, and then Bob Houghton was appointed as the new head coach. Under Houghton, India won the most important AFC Challenge Cup in 2008. What is AFC Challenge Cup? The AFC Challenge Cup was created for the emerging teams in Asia to experience playing in the Continental Cup. The best part about this tournament was that the winner used to get a direct qualification to AFC Asian Cup. So thanks to this Challenge Cup, India automatically qualified for the Asian Cup after 21 years. In the Asian Cup 2011, India was grouped alongside Bahrain, Australia and South Korea. Yeah, as expected, India lost the first game to Australia 4-0, then the second one to Bahrain 5-2 and the third one to South Korea 4-1, resulting in a last place finish in the group. Special mention however to Sunil Chhetri, who scored 2 goals out of 3 scored by Team India. From 2012 to 2017, Indian football team had very tough time. We did win SAF Championship and Nehru Cup once, but except that there was nothing to celebrate. First of all, in terms of FIFA World Cup qualifiers, India lost to UAE 5-2 on aggregate, and then we lost all our games in AFC Challenger Cup the same year. In 2013, India also failed to retain the SAF Championship after losing to Afghanistan in the final. Following next year, India played the World Cup qualifiers for the 2018 edition, where after beating Nepal, we qualified for the next round. However, in the second round, we lost 7 out of 8 games. Now, as India was the part of the second round of the World Cup qualifiers, we got an automatic qualification for the playoff round of the AFC Asian Cup. In the playoff round, India faced Laos and scored 7 goals in 2 legs, resulting in a qualification to the third round. Now, in the third round, India was drawn into Group A alongside these teams. In the first game, thanks to Sunil Chhetri's 91st minute winner, India beat Myanmar. Out of 6 games played in that round, India won 4, drew 1 and lost 1. This resulted in a top place finish and a qualification to the AFC Asian Cup 2019. For the 4th time in history, India was in AFC Asian Cup, and for the first time in years, we had competitive team with amazing support. We played our first game against Thailand, and thanks to Sunil Chhetri's brace, India literally destroyed them and scored 4 goals. This was India's first win in Asian Cup after 55 years, and I can tell you that every football fan in this country was absolutely buzzing. However, the celebrations stopped right after the next game as UAE beat us 3-0. Then on the final match day, in order to qualify for the knockout round, India was required to draw the game against Bahrain. However, after fighting for entire 90 minutes, we ended up losing the game in 91st minute when Rashid from Bahrain converted a penalty. So after getting knocked out of the AFC Asian Cup, India played the second round of 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. India played 8 games in total, lost 3, drew 4 and victory in 1. We finished the third in the table and got an automatic qualification to the third round of Asian qualifiers. India started the campaign by winning 2-0 against Cambodia with 38 years old Sunil Chhetri scoring a brace. Then in the second game, India beat Afghanistan 2-1 with Chhetri scoring again. Then on the final match day, we destroyed Hong Kong by scoring 4 goals, resulting a second consecutive place in AFC Asian Cup for the first time in our entire history. So that was the entire history of Indian football. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please make sure to like and subscribe the channel as we are chasing 4,000 subscribers.